Hello everyone, TP here, and today I will be ranking the season everyone loves to death. Even the person who is my friend loves the season the most out of any other season, well, in his eyes anyway. Season 4. Now, I love Season 4, but it's not my favorite season. I already acknowledged my favorite season in the last video. Of course the people who watched that video pretty much know what that season is. It's season 3 obviously. And the one thing I forgot to add is make sure you watch the seasons 1 to 3 rankings videos and then come back here just to be consistent. But anyways, let's get the ranking list for season 4 on track. Pun intended. Bullseyes. Why this episode in season 4? Why now? Just skip this one altogether. Like, I like the character dynamics. I like the character dynamic between Toby and Daisy, but if you're watching Toad Stands By, just go to special letter after it and skip this one. It's not worth your time. 4 out of 10. And this and Percy James and the Fruitful Day I covered last time, I forgot to mention. Those are the only 4 out of 10s in both this and the season 3 videos altogether. Okay, that was unnecessary, but anyways, let's keep moving on. Special attraction. It's pretty obvious why people dislike this episode. The two plots don't connect, and both of those plots are forced together at the end. But Bulstrode is funny and the crash is great, so I put this slightly above Bullseye's. 5 out of 10. Mind That Bike. It's a fine episode, but why have this as the finale of season 4? I mean, again, it's a fine episode, but why the finale? And honestly, the premise just feels a bit clunky to me. So, I mean, again, it's a fine episode, but why is it the finale? I don't know. 6 out of 10. Thomas and Stepney. I'm not the biggest fan of this episode, to be honest. It just starts the trend of Thomas not liking a new character and not liking them taking his own coaches or place. Well, if we're referring to Thomas taking, or Thomas seeing the new character taking the coaches, the start was actually in Emily's new coaches, but I just feel the actual trend of Thomas not liking a new character just started here. And honestly, let's just say I don't like it. But hey, I like Stepney, and I like Thomas in the episode, so 6 out of 10. It's one of the, it's honestly one of the more decent episodes of Season 4, if I'm being honest. Home at Last. Duncan being stuck in the tunnel was good, and also the scene with Topham was also good, but it just felt boring, to be honest. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind the episode. It just feels boring to me. Excuse me. Anyways, yeah, this episode is still decent. I just think it's a bit boring. 6 out of 10. Passengers and Polish. Duncan stopping on the viaduct was funny, and while I don't like Duncan in season 4, I actually don't mind his episodes. I wish they could have been a little more entertaining. But again, Duncan stopping on the viaduct was funny, as stated earlier. And the overall episode is just pretty decent. 6 out of 10. Rock and Roll. This is honestly the best of the Duncan episodes in this season, in my opinion. Like, once again, I'm not the biggest fan of Duncan in Season 4, but still, this episode is actually pretty good. As stated before, this is the best of the Duncan episodes of the season. It has a good crash, and it has good music, at least. 7 out of 10. A good episode. A Bad Day for Sir Handel. Good crash and good music, but this episode just feels a bit uninteresting to me. But still, it's a good Sir Handel episode. 7 out of 10. Peter, Sam, and the Refreshment Lady. This episode is good, but at the same time, I don't really care for it that much, honestly. him leaving the refreshment lady behind just felt like a copy to Thomas and the Guard from season 1. And honestly, the sequel story to this episode was miles better in my opinion. But still, this is a good episode. I'm not saying it's bad. It's still good. 7 out of 10. 4 little engines. Skarloey making it to the station after breaking a spring was wonderful. The ending with the line, "They can if they're amended, Old Faithful, and that's what's going to happen to you. You deserve it," was just so satisfying. And for that, I'm giving this episode an 8 out of 10. Trucks. Great crash and good character dynamics. And other than that, I don't really have much to say about it. 8 out of 10. You can't win. Stuart getting tricked into is something that will always stick in my head forever. And the fiddlesticks from him as well was absolutely hilarious. And honestly, it was just really good overall. 8 out of 10. Bowled out. The Class 40 diesel was funny. Duck and Stepney pulling the express was good. But aside from it being a bit boring, it's still really good. 8 out of 10. Henry and the Elephant. Henry getting hooshed by the elephant was funny. It has great music. The circus train looks very nice. And that long sequence with James pulling the train away is kind of funny to me. 8 out of 10. Steamroller. The George and Sir Handel moment was funny. The "actually, I'm better" part was hilarious. Pretty much this is the funniest season 4 has to offer. But I wish the ending was I just wish the ending wasn't so rushed. Or, well, it wasn't so rushed, it just felt a bit rushed. But still, the ending was great still, with Sir Handel getting teased by the boys. That it was hilarious to see, but it just kind of felt rushed. 8 out of 10. Thomas and the Special Letter. This is a very nice 100th episode for the series. It's got a great crash, great character usage, and overall it's just really good to see Thomas have his own episode again. 8 out of 10. Fish. Great nighttime shots, great scene with Henry leaving the docks, but the ending just feels rushed to me. Like, it's not over the top, it's not like extremely rushed, it's just still kind of rushed. But overall, this episode is still great. 9 out of 10. Paint Pots and Queens. It retcons the 2 stories that occur before this one, which are down the line and off the rails. But, aside from that, this is still great nonetheless. Gordon pulling into the station with the Queen is just absolutely glorious. And I will never forget that moment. And the fact that they actually composed God Save the Queen in this episode is just incredible. I love it. And yeah, other the retcon aside, this episode is great. 9 out of 10. Train stops play. This episode has a fun race between Caroline and Stepney, and overall Stepney's best episode of his own arc. I don't have much else to say about this one other than it's actually really fun to watch. 9 out of 10. Sleeping Beauty. This episode is a part 2 to Grandpuff, which, let's honestly face it, this isn't, to me, to me, this episode is not as good as Grandpuff. But still, it's great. I loved it when Duke gets found. And you do feel a sense of relief knowing that Duke is still alive, even if he looks dirty, from spending all those years in a shed, which is just wild if you think about it. Like an engine spending 22, not 22 years. An engine spending 22 years in a shed. Oh my god, that's incredible. And he managed to survive that. That makes it more incredible once you think about it. But yeah, Sleeping Beauty is a great episode. 9 out of 10. Grandpuff. This is the saddest episode of the season, and Duke getting locked up in his shed for years is genuinely sad to see. I don't have much to say about this one other than I just love it so much. And of course, this episode gives us the birth of Smudger's iconic laugh. 10 out of 10. Rusty to the rescue. I don't care what anyone says, I'm giving this episode a 10 out of 10 purely for the sets, the music, and the atmosphere. They're awesome, in my opinion at least. I'm sure people like them a lot too. Like Stepney, and also Stepney is a great character, and you do feel happy for him once he gets rescued. And yeah, Rusty going to the mainland is just impossible, but I don't care about that. And yeah, Oliver should have been the main character for this one, or someone else like. Yeah, maybe Oliver should have been the main character for this since he's a standard gauge engine. But question: why would he go to the scrapyards again after having to deal with escaping scrap? Like, I would just find that very confusing. But then again, it would be nice, but it would just feel very confusing at the same time. And I get why you would want to choose Oliver. You just want to continue the cycle of engines being saved from scrap. Like, you know, Edward saved Trevor from scrap. Douglas rescued Oliver from scrap. And Oliver could rescue Stepney from scrap. Like, that would be a great cycle of engines rescuing other engines. That's a great cycle. But anyways, Rusty to the Rescue is, in my opinion, such a fantastic episode for the sets, the music, and the atmosphere. 10 out of 10. Toad stands by. Oliver and Toad are equally great in this episode. Scruffy is a great antagonist for Toad to plot a plan against. And Oliver and Toad are just great in this episode. Oliver pulling Scruffy to bits is something I will never forget. And the "I'm coming apart" from George Carlin, incredible. I love it. I love this episode. 10 out of 10. Bulldog. Yeah, you thought this was going to be number 1, did you? Well, at least for some of you that knew me for liking this episode the most. But yeah, well, I still love that this episode mainly teaches a grand message about parental responsibilities and having a great crash and a great build-up to it. And it's all just fantastic, but honestly, I think I just find 2 more episodes in this season anyway to be much better than this one, just because of either their visuals or overcomings. And speaking of, this episode gets a 10 out of 10, by the way. Speaking of, Special Funnel. This episode is beautiful as can be. Peter Sam accidentally getting his funnel knocked off was funny. Sir Randall's song was great. The scene with the lion about to be destroyed was quite sad. And this episode is just beautiful and well paced in my opinion, now to think about it. And yeah, this episode is just amazing. I love it. 10 out of 10. A fantastic episode. But I think you know pretty well what's going to be in first. If you've been keeping track, you already know what it is. Gallant Old Engine. Out of all the engine braving through episodes, this is my favorite. This is better than, in my opinion, this is better than Edward's Exploit. It's better than Percy's Promise and it just has great music, great visuals, and Bernice is just a fun character to relate to. Too bad his actual episode a couple seasons later sucks. But this episode was the best of the attention that he got in the classic series. Oh boy, I can't wait to review his episode once I get to season 7. But anyways, this episode gets a 10 out of 10. Fantastic episode in my opinion. And that is my ranking list for season 4. In my opinion, season 4 was spectacular with a lot of grand sets and the lighting is just excellent. But I wish some of the stories weren't thrown in for the sake of filling leftovers, with the exception of the Stepney arc, Special Letter, and Fish. But I still think season 4 is better than seasons 1 and 2. It just couldn't beat season 3, in my opinion. Or the next season after this one. And I think you know what I'm referring to. So, I'll see you guys next time for season 5, where things get a little bit more exciting. Bye bye.